When I was a young student, I longed to speak English fluently. I admired those who could express themselves easily, but I was shy and often made mistakes. One day, my teacher gave me advice that changed my life. You can be fluent if you practice every day. At first, I didn't understand how important those words were. But as I grew, I realized that fluency is like planting a tree. You place a seed in the ground, water it, and give it sunshine. You care for it daily, and one day it grows tall and strong. One afternoon, a student came to me with tears in her eyes. "Teacher," she said, "I want to speak English, but I always forget the words." I smiled and reassured her. Fluency isn't about remembering every word. It's about practice. She looked at me with hope. "But how can I practice?" "Practice is everywhere," I explained. "Talk to your friends, listen to stories, sing songs. Every moment is a chance to practice." I remembered my own school days when I would listen to stories every night. At first, I repeated the words slowly, stumbling over them. But with time, I became faster. I learned new words, and my confidence grew. Another student once asked, "Teacher, is fluency about speaking fast?" I shook my head. No, fluency is about speaking clearly. You don't have to be fast, you have to be understood. I told them the story of a boy who spoke so quickly that no one could follow him. One day, I advised him, "Slow down. Speak clearly. Use simple words." He listened, and soon, everyone understood him. His confidence soared, and he enjoyed speaking in English. Fluency is a journey one step at a time. You don't rush, you enjoy the process. I have seen many students start with fear, only to become fluent with patience and practice. There was one girl who loved music. She listened to English songs every day, humming along until she knew the words by heart. One day, she realized she could sing without effort, and her fluency had improved just by listening and repeating. Another student feared making mistakes. She never spoke because she worried others would laugh. I told her mistakes are our best teachers. One day, she gathered her courage and spoke in class. She made many mistakes, but she didn't stop. Over time, she improved and finally said, "Teacher, I'm not afraid anymore." That was the day she truly began her journey to fluency. I once had a student who always translated from his language to English in his mind. This made him slow and unsure. I advised him, "Try to think in English." He practiced, and slowly, speaking became more natural. Another boy loved to talk but would mix English with his native language. I told him, "Stay in English, even if you don't know a word. Try to explain it." This forced him to think in English, and soon he was speaking fluently. Reading was another tool I used. When I was learning English, I read simple books and wrote down new words. One day, a student came to me, saying, "Teacher, I read this book, but I didn't understand everything." "That's okay," I said. "The more you read, the more you will understand." She continued reading every day, and after a while, she came back smiling. Now I understand so much more. Fluency also comes from listening to yourself. One of my students recorded herself reading a story. Each time, she listened to her voice and found ways to improve. This small habit made her more fluent over time. Practicing with a friend is another great way to improve. I had two students who were best friends. They made a rule to speak only in English with each other. Day by day, they helped each other, and soon, both were fluent. Fluency grows when you use the language in real-life situations. I once had a student who worked in a shop. He decided to speak only in English with his customers. At first, it was difficult, but as time passed, he became more confident. Curiosity helps too. I knew a student who always asked about new words. Every time he heard one, he would ask for its meaning and then use it in conversation. His vocabulary grew quickly, and so did his fluency. Setting a goal is important. I had a student who dreamed of traveling to an English-speaking country. Every day, she practiced because she wanted to be ready. Her goal kept her motivated, and before she even got on the plane, she was fluent. Fluency does not come overnight. It takes time, but when you enjoy the process, it becomes easier. One of my students loved watching English movies. At first, he used subtitles, but after some time, he turned them off. He was learning English while doing something he loved. A student once asked, "Teacher, how long does it take to become fluent?" I told him, "It depends on how much you practice. Some people learn in months, others take years. But the key is to never stop." That student practiced every day, and one day, he realized how much he had improved. Sometimes, taking a break is important. I knew a student who practiced all the time, but she became frustrated. I told her, "Rest, then come back with a fresh mind." After her break, she felt better, and her fluency continued to improve. Some students find creative ways to practice. One girl loved to write stories in English. Each day, she wrote something new. Eventually, she started reading her stories aloud, which helped her fluency even more. Another student loved to teach. She helped her friends with English, and through teaching, she became even more fluent. Fluency is also about persistence. I had a student who struggled for a long time. He wanted to give up many times, but he kept going. One day, he realized he was speaking without hesitation. His persistence had paid off. Learning English is a journey, and every journey is different. Whether through songs, stories, conversations, or books, each student finds their own path. One day, a student asked me, "Teacher, what is the secret to fluency?" I smiled and said, "The secret is simple. Listen, practice, and never be afraid to make mistakes." And with that, another student set off on their own journey to fluency.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.